It's amazing, great, and awesome to have you join us on today's edition of Politics Today that comes live simultaneously on independent television and radio, where we take our time to look at issues concerning the polity. And today we're going to be looking at two topics that will be discussed by our analysts, distinguished analysts here in the studio. We're going to be looking at the issues that surrounds the redesign of the NAIRA note, the plan of the CBN to do that and pour it into circulation by the middle of next month, December 2022. And we look at the stashed cash saga. You agree with me that reports have been up over the issues of some billionaires stashing cash, in hideout zones. We have politicians caught in the web by the EFCC who have stashed cash in billions, in their houses. And there is a plan by these governors, to pull out those funds into payment of workers' salaries as a way of laundering it. And we'll look at that as it affects the redesign of the NAIRA notes, the benefit that comes from that direction. We'll also take our time to look at the 2023 presidential poll that is forthcoming barely 4 months from now, starting with the presidential election, where we're going to be having the issues concerning tackling monetization in politics. You also agree with me in that direction that we can't successfully say politics can be played without the involvement of money. But when money plays a factor that is above other factors, it means that's not democracy. And so there is need to tackle it in order to get it in the right perspective. I am Philip Omo-Gyukbon. I'm the host on today's edition of Politics Today. And like I did say earlier, I have distinguished personalities with me, starting from my immediate left, where I have an articulate legal practitioner, and he is Greg Iyayi. Thanks for joining me.
Good morning, viewers.
And next to him is another custodian of the law, articulate, and he is Matthew Ederase. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Phillips.
And of course, I have the public affairs analyst, human rights activists, in the person of Bishop Austin Igbasa. Bishop Austin Igbasa is the senior pastor of Sword of Liberation Bible Church. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
It's expected that as the show progresses, you pour your calls at us, listeners on independent radio, and of course, distinguished viewers on independent television. But we advise that you be civil in your presentation. We expect decorum in that direction as we go along. And don't forget, as you pour your calls at us, you are also a presenter on the show. And it's important that you stick to that. All right, quickly, without wasting much time, I will be rolling out the first question to Bishop Austin Igbasa. Now, we have this NAIRA redesign, which came with some ripples. The plan of the NAIRA redesign, which hit the stream, the news stream, and brought about ripples, criticisms. And just recently, we are seeing it that even the leadership of the EFCC under the person of Abdurrashid Bawa, saying that 3 governors are on the watch list who have been reported as alleged holding billions of naira in their houses. And there's a plan for them to pay these billions of naira through payment of salaries in order to launder it. And we also had reports where the anti-graft agency operatives, visited BDC operators, where huge amounts of cash we are seeing that were to be, changed to dollars. And this huge amount of money we are decomposing, molds upon them to show that they've been stashed long ago in hideouts. Now, what do you make of this development and revelation as it regards the NAIRA redesign plan?
Well, by the order and the act of CBN, every 8 years, the CBN had the authority to redesign NAIRA.
Okay.
So it is their right to do that. And I think that EFCC, what is happening right now, is going to put putting a lot of heat all over the place. To me, it is a good plan because some of the revelation we are seeing now will have not been on the table if this policy has not come in place. We know that when they are going to redesign, it's supposed to be something that will be, the information ought to come like 6 months. But it's coming now maybe with a mindset to deal with corruption. As far as Nigeria is concerned, you know, when we want to do something, you see, our mindset of doing it is one thing. And what is going to be the aftermath is another thing. Because I want to build up on some of those money we are talking about. The same EFCC visited Akwa Ibom state governor, if you remember vividly, under this administration, that even they were made, people were made to raise up their hand in government houses. Documents were collected from a sitting governor, not even minding immunity and whatever. To me, those three governors that have been marked or on the watch list of EFCC, EFCC have the power to go into wherever the money is. If I tell you now that I'm coming for you next week, I want you to keep whatever you have kept there in the same location when I'm not a fool. It's like when we want to go and bombard and we announce there's going to be a bombardment in Sambisa next week. These people you are going to bombard, are they going to be waiting for you to come and kill them in their enclaves? That's why most of the time when we do our bombardment, we bombard enclaves of the people without having casualties because we go on announcement. But the people that strike us when they want to strike, they don't give notice that they are going to kidnap. They come in mass and kidnap and take people. So what I feel is that for EFCC to talk about those governors, either they say two of the governors are from the north and one is from the south. I don't think EFCC needed somebody to tell them to invade wherever they have seen money stashed somewhere. They don't need any power anywhere to go there. Even when we talk about the issue of money, EFCC supposed to be where the primaries of the election in the first place took place, where dollar was raining. There was rain of dollar everywhere. So these are their work. And they are failed. Well, if we want to control, we want to talk about the money, the place of money in politics. You cannot rule out EFCC. You cannot rule out ICPC because these are the people that are mandated. You cannot, even in our elections that took place, all this staggered election we had, you don't see EFCC in the polling booth, and people are sharing money. So when police is sharing money, is it police who wants to arrest another police? But what is important is that if EFCC have done their work and they want to do this announcement of talking about three governors, I expected action. If you have seen it, you don't need any power elsewhere to go to that place. That is not about immunity. You are not holding a governor's hand. Of course, where the governor stashed the money, he's not standing with the money there. So, and you have power to go there either in the night. Don't forget it is this same EFCC that went after judges, serving judges at night, and also cut off their doors and burst into their house, made them to lie down in the night and stand on their chests and said they saw millions of dollars. Even at the end of the day, if those Supreme Court judges were exonerated, and some of them have to die through the embarrassment they face. DSS came. Now, what I'm trying to say is that EFCC have the power to stay at our polling booth where vote buying takes place because it has involved some security agencies. Now you cannot ask them to arrest themselves when they are contracted to do this assignment. All of us know that you cannot rig election without the involvement of security agency. And you know for sure that there is nobody that is doing election. A candidate will come out and start sharing money on the election day. He will not do that. He has somebody that will do that for him. And if we are able to apprehend that person with that cash, how many people have been arrested by EFCC or ICPC on our election day to do a test run, just like INEC test run beavers in staggered election, that we expected ICPC, EFCC to rise up to this occasion of this New Testament vote buying style that we have never seen since we have been in politics. That people they are paid where they are casting their vote, and they after casting their vote, they look at it, they say, even snap whatever you are casting and come and collect your money here, as if you are buying something in a shopping mall. And I think that ICPC, EFCC cannot say they have not been aware or they have not seen it on social media where people snap it and send it across, and it is in the public domain how people buy. Okay. And that will have not made them to sit down and rearrange their operation to see that we are mandated to fight anything financial crime. Now, financial crimes have come into our electionary preparation and arrangement. And the best way we can do that is that we need to be there. They don't need anybody. They don't need any further instruction. Because these are people that visited persons, that track Yahoo boys at home, that track Yahoo people anywhere. And they should also be able to do their best to try Yahoo politicians. To be able to help us deal with the Yahoo politician and let us see that it is balanced. Let us help us to also tackle Yahoo governors. As a governor, Akeredolu mentioned the other day that we have Yahoo governors. They should also go after them, not with the immunity.
Okay.
Let them track where the money. They told us that it is taxed somewhere. I don't expect announcement. I expected them to invade the place because they don't need any other extra power to go and do that. And you don't tell me that a governor kept the money somewhere and the governor will be sleeping in that place.
Okay, let me take a lead from what you just said and swing the pendulum to Ederase to respond to that quickly. Now, he said that by this time, the anti-graft agency should swing into action and get these governors that it suspects arrested and check into their houses to confirm all of these allegations. Now, don't you think by this information coming to the public domain, the governors, the said governors in court, could use another tactics, to launder this? What do you make of this?
I will not dwell in responding to speculative declarations. I think that what the EFCC is saying is mere speculative.
Oh.
They should give us substance so that we can properly join nations. When you begin to speak in parables as a security agency, instead of taking practical steps to fight the menace,
yeah,
then you are begging the question. The question is, do those governors not have names? Why say one governor in the south, two in the north? That is shadow chasing, it's mere speculation. It's just like telling us there is a thief somewhere at King Square. How do I know the thief at King Square? There are so many people at King Square. If you say it's even fair in complexion, there are many fair complexion people there. So you have not said anything. Their job is to gather intelligence and pin it down to the source.
Okay. Before
they go to the marketplace to make pronouncement. Why tell you now there's a particular governor from the south, two from the north? All the governors in Nigeria, they have names. The states they are governing are known. Now you are leaving it's a wide allegation.
Yes,
a governor in the south. It that leaves the whole thing open to anybody in the south being a suspect.
Of course, yes.
Any governor in the south is a suspect. All the governors in the north are suspects. But they did not pin it down to any state or the name of a governor. That is shadow chasing. Yes, it should be more practical. Because the problem facing us as a nation, they are real and practical problems. They are not imaginary. So we don't need imaginary statement like they are doing now. This NAIRA redesign policy, if pursued to the letter, logically, it will bring out a lot of the ills plaguing our economy.
Okay, so it's a welcome development.
People have imprisoned our money, and that means, by extension, they are imprisoning our economy. Money circulation is the heart and soul of economic mobility.
Of course.
An economy whose money is buried is a buried economy. There's no cash flow. These are investable funds. Somebody buried in his vaults, private vaults. And such illicit funds that are buried can only be deployed into negative use. That's why you have an issue of vote buying. Buying vote costs billions. You may be talking of one voter going with 5,000. But if you do the total sum,
yes, of course,
it's runs into billions. And these are money that can set up cottage industries, create jobs, and grow the economy. Now we are looking for external loans. If these people are richer than the system, why can't they give us internal loan? They can even give the system interest-free loans as patriots. It will help our economy. We are not seeing donation to institutions of learning by these cash mongers. You will hear that ASU are not be paid. And the money ASU is owed can be paid by these money holders. If they do that, we will applaud them. But now what they are doing, they are diverting their attention, they are directing their fund towards a purchase of dollars. They are rushing to buy dollars. I tell them that is even a fair state treatment to their necessary nemesis.
Okay.
Because they are going to buy dollar to a point that the dollar sellers are going to also take that money to be exchanged for the redesigned notes. Then, if the EFCC and the other agencies are up and doing, they will still track, they will trace it. Yeah. If I'm coming to the bank with 1 trillion naira,
of course,
as a Bureau de Change operator, I should be able to tell the bank where the money is coming from. So they can track it.
Oh, they can track it.
Yes, the dollar might end up being confiscated.
Okay. All right. So which means there could be some financial accountability in the system that can help us tackle this.
Definitely.
Okay. Let's take your reaction on this, Greg Iyai.
I think the people that were stashing this money, what they wanted to do was to avoid documentation.
Of course, yes.
Because if they take this money to the bank, with BVN, the owner of the money can be traced. So, and then they also wanted to have it handy to use, so that the issue of transferring money and others, or when the negotiation has been perfected, immediate delivery will not be a problem. But the EFCC had, you see, this issue of media trial or trying to prove that we are working has always been the problem. I agree with their good intention, which is to purge the quality of polluted money and then make sure that the election is free and fair, and then the inducement, cash inducement is not there. But again, as my colleagues have said, by the time you are announcing to the thief, I'm coming to the house to catch you, you wouldn't expect the thief to be foolish enough to stay there.
Not at all.
They cannot stay there. Actually, DSS carried out sting operation against high-ranking judges, and some of the allegations were flimsy. Why does the EFCC not use the same? This is where sometimes we have our doubts. Why does the EFCC not use the same sting operation? Surprise attack is always a very potent weapon of war.
Okay.
Why don't you go to where the cash has been stashed and then you lay hold on it?
But is it illegal to have such huge amount of money stashed in houses?
Well, it wouldn't be, you are allowed a certain amount of cash, but where there is the amount of cash that threatens the economy.
And that is unexplainable.
No, you'll be called to explain.
Okay.
Okay, you have this money in your house. For what purpose? If the purpose is found to be lawful, okay. But if not, then you have a case to answer. Then if it's the case of the governor, since you have the governor enjoys immunity while in office, you can keep the money as evidence to prosecute him immediately he leaves office. You know, they are going to leave office very soon. Then you gather your evidence and then you can prosecute them. So what we are saying is that the EFCC may have good intention, but methods they are employing are methods that will defeat their intention and defeat the aim of actually wanting to purge the quality of polluted cash.
Okay. Now, Bishop Austin Igbasa, let's look at the possibility of pursuing this critically to the logical conclusion. Now, this redesigned policy, planned by the government has come up with a lot of revelations that, if pursued critically, it will come up with beautiful revelations that would help to fight corruption. Now, how does the government tackle the aspect of not sparing sacred cows in this regard?
You see, it's like this matter is like the matter of a goat that the owner is sick, and the goat started crying, and people are asking, "Goat, why are you crying?" He said, "If my oga die, I will be used for party." They now ask goat. He said, "What if your oga did not die?" He said, "My oga will use me for Thanksgiving."
Wow.
So you now see that the sickness of the man that owns the goat, it is the goat that will eventually pay on both sides. If the man dies, the goat is going to die. The man survives, the goat is going to die. That's the issue. The intention, you see, at times the intention, we wonder, because the same, we are talking about the same EFCC, we have mentioned so much money. Why should we be crying today that our economy is bad? With the money this federal government told us they have recovered.
As loot.
As loot. The same government told us that they are going to shame the looters. They are going to publish their name as if we Nigerians, we are fool. Up to today, at a time, they came out, the Minister of Information said they cannot shame anybody, but they are recovering. Now, when somebody steals our own patrimony, and you recover it and you say you don't want to shame that person, and yet their names are not published, the amount is not mentioned, and yet we are borrowing, then you begin to ask yourself, where is the sense in it? If it is even the stolen money alone that they recover, that is used to settle ASU, and Abacha loot is coming and is being relooted, the one that is looted here before by our own people here is being relooted after it has been looted before. Because you cannot state to me that it is not being relooted when we can't mention names. We now respect thieves who are stealing our money. But that was not what they promised us. At the end of the day, you see that there will be sacred cow. There is no how you are going to rule it out. That is why the intention, because the money to redesign Naira is not a joke. If the government is sincere to go about it, we are going to have so much money. Because when you have the money in circulation, that is where, even if a man steals money and he builds a filling station, he's going to employ people there. He's going to employ a driver. He's going to employ those who will dispense fuel. He's going to employ watch night. He's going to employ those who will pay, all the artisans that will work there. So the money will be in circulation. You can't compare it to a money that is stashed somewhere. And you cannot tell me today there is a sitting governor in this country that does not have Naira that is stashed somewhere.
Exactly the point we are going.
And that is why no governor today can raise up his hand, including governors that are using their mouth to talk about federal government is not doing well. Because I asked them when when they are in one party, they know how to say the party is doing well. When they are in another party, they know how to say the party they left is not doing well. And I gave a parable to somebody, and I said somebody visited his father-in-law and destroyed his father-in-law's house. Now everybody says his father-in-law is bad, and the person went back to his own father's house and destroyed his own father's house. Then are you going to tell me that it is those family of his in-law or his own father's family that is bad? You will not know it is the man who destroys house here and destroy house here that is a bad man. Now, the issue of sacred cow, you cannot rule it out. Even the policy itself at the takeoff, government may have some people in mind that they wanted to disgrace. Maybe for some reasons that is best known to them. There are some persons they may want
political gains, you may say.
Yes, they may want some people to bow to their pressure. Some people may be needed to decamp. Some people loyalty may be needed.
As we are getting close to the election.
Yes, so that might be the reason.
So this could be a political tool.
Yes, it's going to be a negotiating point. Oh boy, we have seen that you have some billions also placed, and we are going to make sure we disgrace you.
Well, okay. These are speculations anyway.
It's not. See, we are living in a world of practical. We are all here. We have been around. Some of these governors, we are older than them. Some of us on this platform, we are older than them as far as politics is concerned. Let me ask you, from the last two governors that rule in this state, can you ask them when they have voted, if they voted in 1999? The last two governors that have reigned in this Edo state, do you ask them, can you ask them where they voted in 1999? I voted in Orowene. That is my voting point. Can you ask Adam Soshomole or ask Governor Obaseki today where they voted in 1999? And they should tell us where they voted. I'm talking about we are grounded and rooted. We are the same people who preach this message of bring in technocrats. But all of us are crying now. Because we are even seeing that it is even better that some other politicians who rise from councillor to chairmanship, to commissioner, to special advisor, before they become governor. Many of them have gone through tutelage, and they respect orderliness. We have seen governors today who are embarrassing traditional ruler up and down. We see a governor in one of these South states who was talking to a governor in a meeting. A governor was talking to a king in a meeting. Say, you this small boy of yesterday. But definitely, kings are anointed from heaven. And even in the Bible, men of God also respect king because they are asked to anoint king.
Okay.
But the governor was talking to, he said, this small boy of yesterday, I would look at what I'm going to do for you. A sitting governor was talking like that. This is a king that until death, before he leaves his throne. But today we see local government chairman remove first-class king in Nigeria. How do we arrive there? So this is what I'm talking about, that some persons may be needed to bow in this policy. Some persons might be earmarked to be tainted, that their name. Some may be shown that we can see what you are doing, and we're making a follow-up. So the issue of sacred cow will be there. Negotiating point will be there. Moving from one level to another. Okay, remain in your party, but your support will be in this place. So because politicians are just like that insect that is called mune, that they blink like this. Okay. So what they say in the morning is not what they say in the afternoon. Where you see them in the morning is not where you see them at night. So that is why you can't take some of them. You can't take some of their words to the bank because they don't believe in integrity.
Okay, we are trying to test the environment. And Matthew Edega say, you agree with me that politicians must always have a way to explain out anything. And looking at the stashed billions of naira that could be in their houses, and if they are even arrested or made to explain, basically they will find explanations. Now, how do we tackle this? Because, like I asked him, there could be some persons that may be taken aside, that may not be investigated, or do you see this as a political tool in the forthcoming election and being used by the federal government? What's your take?
I don't want to dwell on speculation, like I said. I will deal on facts. As it stands now, it's a policy of government, the CBN, through the CBN. And it is a statutory responsibility of the Central Bank of Nigeria to redesign naira notes from time to time. And they are not doing it earlier than the law stipulated. They are even doing it much more later.
Like in 2 decades?
Yes. So anybody.
And the big question is, why now? Why close to election?
The question is that election is not a criteria for a nation to stand still. Election is not an emergency. It's not a tragedy. You say, oh, we are mourning. Why will you be playing music when we are supposed to be sober? No, election is a periodic process, exercise. It didn't come like as a surprise to anybody. Every 4 years, in a democratic circle, you have a general election to conduct. There's no question as why should it be now? When should it be? Why should I take my breakfast today? Because breakfast should be taken when I'm hungry in the morning. If I decide to skip, it means I'm not hungry. So the CBN have seen the need. And I personally, my opinion, if you ask me honestly, I also believe that the best time to do is even before close to election.
Yes, because closely, if you look at it,
this is
the need for us not to have sacred cows. Because if we are to look at the political space that we have, it's possible that a government could want to use it to witch hunt the opponents. Don't you think so?
Let me explain. These are speculations. You don't begin to say there's a declaration that any goat thief should be reined in this community. And you are saying, oh, are we sure they are not going to spare some thieves? Why should there be a thief in the first place? That's the question, is that they want to curb criminality. You are now speculating as a patriotic citizen. Are there no many criminals? Are you sure they are not going to spare some? Any criminal that is reined in is good for
a welcome development.
Yes. If any other one is saying, I'm not the only criminal, there are other ones. It's not a defense. Why are you a criminal? Defend yourself. I will not have sympathy for anybody who is caught in the web of criminality or criminal activities on the ground that is appealing to sentiment that there are other people doing it. If there are drug pushers, you can't arrest all of them at the same time. Some will run into out of luck and they will be apprehended. While some are still in the business. It's a circle. It will get to each and every one with time. Let's assume that some people will be able to escape this dragnet. It won't be forever. Another government is coming that may want to get to other negative actors in the system.
Okay, and this could bring checks and balances into the system.
Definitely. Let me tell you, election period this is the best period to track illicit funds.
Okay.
Because this is when they deploy it into negative use.
Okay.
Besides this time, you won't find the money. Because there's no tendency or prayer for them to bring it out.
No, until when there is.
If you did not measure redesign now of the Naira, you will know that Nairas have been buried. There are some Naira notes now, bundles that are having
molds on them.
Not Muko.
They are already decomposing.
Bank,
Okay.
banks that have gone under. Different banks.
Oh.
Which means this money were buried as old as the day of
Okay, with
Savannah
the
Bank.
labels.
The label is still there. And what
Wow.
that means is that the money was not just buried, it was not being spent.
Spent for many decades.
Yes. So the Muko issue is one. The evidence of Savannah Bank label on bundles of money
Defunct.
means that as far back as early, about 15 years ago,
Yeah.
this money were buried somewhere. The person who buried money is not spending it. It's not putting it in the bank. It's not circulating. It's just
Okay.
imprisoning the wealth.
Okay.
So the best time, if you ask me, is even a night to election, where you can really track this illicit fund. That is when they assume the money to deploy into buying ammunition for talks, paying talks to go and foment trouble, distribute money, disburse for vote buying. So where those who are shouting now is too close to election, ask them, what is your problem with the money and the election? What is the nexus? Why are you crying that it's close to election? Why can't you take your money to the bank like every other person? What is so difficult in taking your hard-earned money? They are not saying don't bring it to the bank. They say bring it, let us give you exchange it. They are saying no, it's too close to election. It means you have something to hide.
Okay.
I'm not sure you are shouting that you can't take your money to the bank. It's too close to election. My colleague is not saying so. Bishop is not crying.
Absolutely.
My own is already in the bank to start with. I don't even have any money to take to the bank to exchange. I only go there to withdraw. So anybody who has so much money that is bigger than the one in the bank definitely has a case to answer.
Okay, do you concur with Matthew Edagase?
I do, honestly. And the issue of sacred cows. Let me explain. First of all, if you look at Buhari's history, when he ruled as military, he designed the Naira. There was a very serious problem at that time. And the issue of designing the Naira, at least to a large extent, solved it. Naira, there was so much Naira outside the country. This time, not outside the bank, outside the country. Because I remember that the first time I went to London, you could go to the road to change and give them Naira, and then they will give you pounds.
Okay.
Right there, you see the exchange rates.
Without hassles?
No, without hassles. So there was so much money, Naira, outside the country that it was estimated that the Naira outside the country was more than the one inside the country. Who were the people carrying them? Well, they were said to be politicians. And he decided to do a surprise operation. The Naira was redesigned. And there was this kind of complaint now that why? Why? You know, my bishop has quoted the CBN Act. The CBN is empowered to do this. So they are not doing anything illegal. If you are complaining about it, then there must be a reason, as my learned friend has said, that is making you complain about it. The issue of sacred cow then, you see, there was somebody that brought in a traditional ruler named withheld 52 suitcases of Naira from Saudi Arabia. And at the airport, he was stopped. And he was told, you cannot bring in this kind of money because the time has expired.
Wow.
But the ADC, to a very prominent person in that government, they withheld, came to the airport because he was the son of the emir. And then he made sure that the money was brought in. So the issue of sacred cows, but it was a big surprise that The government did not take any action.
So we are saying that the issue of sacred cows cannot be tackled.
Is what I am ready, is what we are really afraid of.
All right.
Although later on when there was hue and cry, the ADC was merely transferred from his duty post to another one. And I think that ADC eventually became a traditional ruler later.
Okay.
So this is where we are. Let the government go ahead and implement it. Let the government go ahead and enforce. Let EFCC go out. If they know where cash is, let them ask the people for explanation. And if they cannot explain, let the law take its course.
Okay, so just join us as politics today, and I've been having in discussants Bishop Austin Igbasan and Matthew Derase, and of course Greg Iyayi, dissecting and analyzing all of this on the NAIRA redesign plan or policy, and looking at the stashed cash saga. And now we're going to look at the monetization in politics, how to tackle it. You agree with me, this like a twin thread, you know, in looking at these issues on corruption. You agree with me also that the Electoral Act, as amended, you know, we go a long way to also tackle this issue of corruption or vote buying. But let's get to see what happened in Osun and, of course, in Ekiti elections that we are judged as one of the best in recent years, where we had the beavers at work effectively, and huge scores were really given to the beavers, and a thumbs up to INEC in that development, and we want to see that turning out in the 2023 election. But again, observers didn't fail to notice the striking point of inducement of voters, vote buying in the Ekiti and Osun election, which we are scared of that if not tackled, this could dovetail into the 2023 elections. And we'll look at the electoral laws and what is explained or what the provisions are in terms of the money that could be spent by a party candidate, the presidential candidate, for instance, having up to about 5 billion naira to spend as limit, not exceeding 5 billion. And then we have that of the governors not exceeding 1 billion. But again, there's this challenge where we have parties having a limit of about 50 billion naira. Now, this monetization in politics, we know we can't play politics, you know, without involving money as a factor. But when it becomes above other factors and it's affecting the decisions of the electorate, then that isn't democracy. Now, what do you make of this monetization and how it can be tackled? Bishop Austin Igbasan.
I think the issue of monetization is something that has stayed with us for a very long time. What really happened is that I think from 2019, 2015 downward, I think the dimension we had was Ekiti election, wherein it was, when you say Dibo Sebe simply means vote and cook soup. It was an open ballot. It was this one, they were doing it at the, it's like you are in with a POS, that you are in the POS center, you give your ATM. That this one, Ekiti was recorded, where even policemen were helping people to collect money or do it like this. It's an open transaction. In fact, that Ekiti election was, if our country is like other country, we should be ashamed of the election that brought in Kayode Fayemi for the second time to rule Ekiti. I think even the governor himself, with good conscience, just like late Umaru Yar'Adua said, that the election that brought me to power, sincerity and integrity is not about somebody that complains about other people. And when it happens to you, you pretend as if nothing happened. Integrity, I'm still quoting a man who have died, that he said the election that brought me was not a perfect election, there are flaws in different places, and let me correct it. And he started the correction by setting up Justice Uwe's committee, who now analyze some of these things we are using today. Now, the election in good conscience was a terrible election. That people were just printing. Now, in those days, we used to have during election, palm kernel will increase the price of palm kernel because politicians use palm kernel throughout the night and they will be thumb printing. But when this electoral palm kernel, kernel printing. So they can even do it as far as do it a month before election.
Okay.
A month before. Don't forget that even as we are talking now, there are reports that some states are already carrying out some electoral process. So even the beavers we are talking about now, politicians have also outsmart beaver as at now. If you go through the last election we had, the two elections we have, you will know that we are beavers tells you that we have 1,000 registered voter and we have accredited 600 people, 600 out of the 1,000. But the voting, the number of people that voted
exceeded the accredited voters.
Yeah, the voters. We might have 1,200. Where we have originally registered 1,000 voters, that some of them have died, some of them have been transferred out of that place, and we now have accredited 600. So because we are dealing with a system that we have politicians that they don't sleep at night, they work out on how to put hole into any policy. But until the masses, I didn't see the enforcement in the hand of government. I see what will change our electoral process. I didn't see INEC as the one changing it. Okay. I only see it in the hand of the masses who will stand their ground. And I want to do what is right. Because the process of this election, the Ekiti and Osun election, do you ask me, why is it that the federal government released money for Osun when Aregbesola was leaving? When Osun was O, and even when they were doing Ekiti election that was E, that the money ought to come because of Fayose, it was not released. But they gave it to O, you know it is by alphabetical order. O, Osun, was released in 3 days to the election. And the money was released in bulk. Who released it? Who released it from the federal government? Why was it released when it was not even the turn of Osun that is O by alphabet? Is it God? Is it angels? Those who released it at that time, the president that approved the release of that money, when it was not even the turn of Osun by alphabetical order, what was his intention? So what we are talking about is that I want to do something clean. When I was there, I didn't want it to affect me. Well, if I want to go, I can do it to affect others. So the issue of vote buying, I think the masses themselves will be the first set of people to say, nobody will buy our conscience. I will not sell my conscience. Because if we are waiting for federal government to come and help you to do, we have NFIU, we have EFCC, we have ICPC. If the federal government want to do it, let them also be positioned at each polling booth.
All right. While we take your reaction on that, Matthew Edegase, let's get the calls pouring in. The number will be shown on the screen for viewers on independent television to participate on that. And as soon as we get it on the screen, we're going to be saying it out to our listeners on independent radio. Yeah, 0708 365 1320. 0708 365 1320. I believe that's 1320. Okay, so start pouring your calls at us. But let's get to you, Matthew Edegase. Now, do we have a financial system, that can help check the flow of these monies, that will be coming out from the banks, coming out for spending, by these candidates and their parties, in order to monitor through the Electoral Act and the provisions to ensure that they don't exceed the limit?
We have a perfect monitoring system that monitors our cash movements and financial flow.
Do you also trust the anti-graft agency?
They're in place. Let me give you an example. During the NSAS protest, funding was taking place. Yeah. The NSAS movement was being financed by volunteers. Before you could say Jack Robinson, federal government tracked and blocked it. Even the crowdfunding.
That shows much improvement in that.
They have it. It's for them to activate it.
Having the will to do it.
The will, yes. The question of we are helpless, we are handicapped does not arise. It's just a naked lie told to people who are rational enough to know that it is a lie.
It is.
So you cannot roam around with free cash in this system if you are not given official protection unduly. There are ceilings to how much fund you can even move around your personal funds. It's not enough for you to say it is my money. You are not entitled to carry money in your boot and be driving around town. It is a crime under the Financial Regulation Act. You must take certain amounts. Certain transactions must be routed through the banking system.
Yes.
You can't just take 2 billion naira and buy across the counter purchase of any item.
Okay.
So
I think
the government has that mechanism. The system has it.
All right.
It's for them to activate and trigger it and stop looking at people with the eye of patronage.
Okay, let's quickly take this caller. Okay, let's hold on while we still get more calls. But let's get your reaction on this, Greg.
I was still
Okay, you still have the floor. Go ahead.
The issue of if they can track it, they can.
Okay.
The question is, will they track it? That is what we should say. And
all right.
what we must insist is that they should track it, because they cannot fly the kite and go into hiding. They can't tell us they want to save the system, the economy, from collapse through these currency holders, and then they will still condone it. It means taking it from with the left and giving it to taking it through the right.
Okay. Let's quickly take this call.
Hello.
Good morning, caller.
Hello. Yeah, this is
Sunday.
From this is Sunday Obiano from Temboga.
Okay, go ahead with your contribution quickly.
I've heard what the people have said. The issue is that my contribution is that in this country, we don't know what we are doing again. Why did I say so? We have been seeing so many things in this country. Our president, His Excellency Muhammad Buhari, has been showing us so many things that we cannot hear today.
Hello, please. We are getting echoes at the background. Can you please turn down the volume on your TV set or radio set?
Okay. Let me turn down the volume of my radio. What I'm saying is that what they are doing, we don't understand what is happening today. In terms of this electoral system, we have been seeing so many things in this country. People have been talking about this, talking. This issue of voter's card. I went to a place to get my voter's card. They gave me the temporary voter's card. But today, I've not seen the voter's card. They say I should come at their INEC office to collect it. Till today, I've not seen it. I don't know what is happening. So they say that they only brought 18 machines in Edo State.
Oh, it seems we lost.
I don't know what is happening.
Go ahead.
So my brother, I don't know. I've been going around to look for the voter's card, at least so that I can exercise my franchise. But there is no way. They say that if I go there, they will say come today, they say come tomorrow. They are just turning me up and down. I don't know what to do about it.
Thank you for your contribution.
So I don't know. They gave me temporary one. I don't know. The question I'm asking now, can I use that temporary one to vote? Yes, that is my question.
Thank you for your contribution, and we're going to be getting that cleared as the show progresses. Well, he also brought up the issue of not being able to get the PVC, and that's a huge one in order to ensure that it's not disenfranchised. But, well, let's get your response as it pertains to the topic, looking at the issues concerning how to get it right in terms of having the right accountability system, to make sure that monetization in politics is tackled. Greg,
The issue of money in politics is a very difficult one, particularly when you want to track it. Because I've been following the midterm elections in the US. Even yesterday, some reporters, BBC reporters were saying that the amount of money being spent in Pelosi's constituency, that the amount of money being spent by the local politicians there far exceeds what is even permitted by federal legislators. They are just local politicians. For TV adverts alone. TV adverts.
Okay, let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning, sir. I'm Mr. Uyi Nelson Idehe.
Mr. Uyino Idehe. Where are you calling us from, please? It appears we lost that call. Hello? Go ahead, you have the floor. Right.
So, it is a very, even such climb like the US, where many things are really digitalized. But in Nigeria, I believe it's just the will of the people that we say, look, we are not going to accept this money. Or, like some people say, if we accept it, we vote our conscience.
But can't INEC track the party candidates and their parties to ensure that they don't exceed the limit in terms of expenses? Because we are already in the campaigns, and a huge amount could be used via the third party, that may not be able to be that may not be captured by INEC. Now, how do we make this go through in terms of capturing this in the whole issue concerning tackling?
Because now you are not seeing politicians acting committee of friends, neighbor to neighbor movement.
Yes, using third parties.
Shadowing movements. I know the shadowing movements, they do TV adverts, they do outreaches, they do medical, even medical outreach. They gather people in the name of medical outreach. And then during the medical outreach, in the name of giving them drugs, some things are put in envelopes.
And these expenses are not captured or reported to INEC?
They are not captured.
Okay.
They are not reported. Who is going to report the beneficiary?
Okay. Let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning, caller. What's your name and location, please?
Good morning. It's Mr. Shoibu. I'm calling from Lucky Way.
Shoibu from Lucky Way. Go ahead.
I'm calling from Lucky Way. Okay, I want to make comment on the last man, the man on suit that spoke last. As a matter of fact, he mentioned the money that was confiscated in the airport during Buhari regime. And the money was brought there by one of the Northern emirs. I would have expected him to mention the Northern emir. Then the ADC, Buhari ADC, Mustafa Jokolo, it was emir of Arugungu, the Mustafa Jokolo's father. So that when we make things like this clear, the children will learn from it. Remember the other day, his eminence, Oba Obini, told Buhari, told the government why they are not offering history in Nigeria universities and so on. So if we don't keep up to history, things like this will happen. We know how to follow it up. About the NAIRA design.
Thank you, Shoaibu. Thank you,
So
Shoaibu.
those people that brought money to,
Thank you, Shoaibu.
those people that brought the rotting.
I remember vividly when you said that name withheld, and that's basically what is really talking about. They need to make names to it. Okay, but as we round off, what do you make of this?
Well, I think all we just have to do is to encourage our people to stand against corruption in elections. Okay. Because this country belongs to us. We have no other country where we can be first citizens. It's only in Nigeria. And we can build it. We can also win it. But I think we should choose to build Nigeria so that we'll be proud of our tomorrow. And our children will also be proud of the heritage that we have left for them.
Okay. While we expect you to take your closing remarks, let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning, caller. Hello, good morning, caller. Okay, go ahead. Let's get your closing remarks on this and how to tackle this.
I want to beg why the government try to do their own in tracking the making people to bring out the money to be in circulation, because that is the best thing that can happen to us. Okay. It is we, the masses, because when you look at the way some governors operate now and they live their life like emperor, it's a signal for every Nigerian to wake up and know that when you take money and you allow a wrong man to sit in the place of power, very soon, if you don't have a house that somebody can destroy, it can destroy your leg with bulldozer. So it is important that all of us must know that we must genuinely want to build our nation where we will not allow somebody to buy us.
Reduce the audio level on your TV or radio set and quickly tell us your name. Hello, we can hear you. What's your name, please? Okay, I think I'm afraid that's the amount you can take for calls. You still have the floor. 1 minute for that.
We, the masses, must believe in the power of our vote. We have done it in this state before by saying this is the direction we are going. And even when we see federal power, federal might in Edo State, all of us say this is the direction we are going. But I think that we can also do that right around the country.
All right.
And make up our mind and say, we are not going to sell our conscience. We are going to stand by the truth. If you have money, you have rights to share. You can try throw your rice inside Boba River, but where we are going is where we are going.
Okay, thank you.
Let us believe that. Let no man give you a bag of rice and starve you for 4 years.
Thank you. Let's get your closing remarks on this, Matthew Degase.
Vote buying and vote selling. It involves two
together.
parties, the buyer and the seller. The sellers are the people who are supposed to exercise their franchise to defend their future. If you sell your votes, I have constantly said it at other fora, you are not selling vote because you are poor. Never you use poverty as an excuse. The only excuse you have for selling your vote is stupidity. Only a stupid man will sell his votes. A poor man will not sell his vote because you have more stake as a poor person to vote for prosperity so that your life will be better than to now compound your predicament by selling your rights to the oppressor.
Okay. Thank you. I believe you've taken your final remarks on this, or you want to extend more?
The election, please, I plead, should be peaceful.
All right.
And they should be free and fair.
Okay, big thanks, able discussants, for your articulation and, of course, your mastery on the topical issues of discuss today. Well, big thanks, our listeners on Independent Radio and, of course, our distinguished viewers on Independent Television. We do this same time next week. Goodbye.